Aloha, Hawaii Prepper. I wanted to talk about not just preparedness, but the location that we are all at. We're all across the globe. We're across the United States in different states. Where I am at, I am located in the middle of the Pacific Ocean on a tiny island. The state of Hawaii consists of 8 different islands. So all of the islands have their own challenges, different resources as well. But as a whole, as a state, as all of these 8 islands, we still rely on shipments coming into the state with consumables, commodities, everything that we consume on a daily basis here, that provides us with sustenance and allows us to do the things that we need to do. And this includes gas as well. So everything is shipped to our state. We do not have like a long railway station. We do not have any of that connects us to the other states. The only thing that does connect us to everyone else would be the ocean. Basically, that is it. But each of the islands, each 8 of the islands have their own challenges. We do have agriculture here, but it's not enough. Not to me, in my own opinion, it's not enough. And I believe everyone needs to be a little bit more resilient, more self-sufficient and self-sustaining on this island. And I would think, being out in the middle of the ocean, everyone would be on board with this kind of thing. There are people that grow a lot of food on their property as well, but there's people that don't grow any food. They just grow plants, they grow flowers, things like that, which is nothing wrong, but to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, self-reliant, I believe the best place to be is to be growing your own food, which is something that I do myself. So the 8 islands, we have our own set of challenges here. The island that I'm on, which is Oahu, is the most densely populated island. Is just crazy. When you go to the outer islands, it's a whole different scenery, different ball game, all in one. A lot more lush greenery, forests, just beauty, just amazingly beautiful land mass going on, and mountains and forests, and just gorgeous. But the one that I'm on is the most heavily populated, so we rely on all of our commodities, our consumables, through shipping and through through airplanes, whatever's flown out here and shipped out here to our islands, and that's approximately 80 to 90%. And so in my mind, I think it would be beneficial for everyone to get into that growing your own food mode, just to supplement and sustain them in the event that there is any type of emergency and or disaster. But not the percentage is just too low of residents doing that here, because everyone heavily relies on the shipments and what's flown here. And so when I look back and I think about what occurred in 2020, no one was ready for this. No one. You had to be a prepper in order to be somewhat prepared for what hit everyone. If not, you were part of the hoarding and panic, droves and droves of people, so that was really eye-opening. And in my mind, I'm thinking and I'm saying, after last year's just horrendous scenery that went on, um and that should have basically, made bona fide preppers out of everyone globally, not just in certain states. This is something globally. But the thing is, there's a lot of people that are still asleep at the wheel, and you can't force anyone into waking up. But Mother Nature usually has a tendency of doing that. But when you're in that zone, when you're in that space where you're used to, or where you're programmed and conditioned of thinking and being like, well, it'll never happen to us, it'll never happen to me, that's kind of hard for the individuals to get out of that space. Because right after any particular disaster or natural disaster that'll occur, people will just go right back to the way that they were, not even, thinking anything. And it's like a habitual thing, a habitual conditioning and patterning that is hard for individuals to break. And this is what I notice, like for my state, the natural disasters could be tsunamis, could be hurricanes, earthquakes. Those are the types of natural disasters that can occur, and we are in hurricane season. So even flooding can occur here as well, because there was a time when it rained for 40 days and 40 nights here. I remember this over a decade ago when that occurred, and that was something else. But yeah, people just don't get it. They just don't get to that mindset that preparing is something of an insurance for you and your family, to be able to have the things that you need just in case. Because when the need arises, the time to prepare has basically already passed, as we've seen last year. So being a prepper allows you to be proactive at things, allows you to have greater insight as well as foresight, and you have more knowledge, you're more knowledgeable and skillful in a whole lot of different things when it comes to preparedness and being prepared for any type of emergency and or disaster, because you know the value of these things. You know how valuable that it is to be, and just to be in that position. That you become that asset to not just your family, but your friends, your coworkers, as well as your neighbors. And so it would be, in a perfect world, it would be wonderful if the entire island was self-sufficient, self-reliant, and self-sustaining. But it's just not that way. My thinking is always, we're an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. We should be at that point and beyond already. We shouldn't be relying on things, because when the shipments stop, the buck stops there. That's when the big game begins for everyone. That's when you'll find out, who really is prepared and or who is not. But last year has shown me, as it normally shows me every year. It can be any type of disaster, usually hurricanes. If hurricane comes close, I see people run into the stores and hoarding, and it's like the day before a hurricane is supposed to hit, or the week of, is when everyone starts to go shopping, starts to hoard, starts to panic buy. I just have to shake my head. It's like these people never learn. They just never learn. But at the same time, preparedness is a way of life. It's a way of living that not everyone does. Not everyone is used to living a way of preparedness. But think about this. You have to prepare. If you're taking an exam or test or certification, it's the same concept. But this one slightly shifts, because now it deals with your entire family, your entire yourself, your wellness, and your well-being, and that includes your entire family. They're all encompassing right in and of itself. But no one truly thinks of these things. The mindset is, oh, it'll never happen again. Oh, it'll never happen to me. But as preppers, we're always going like 5 to 10 steps ahead. We're always learning and honing our skills and gathering more information and knowledge, not just for ourselves and our family, but to be able to share that knowledge and information with others that may not be in that mindset or zone. They may only have fear going on and spinning in that circular mode of just panic and fear, without even thinking, where preppers are literally going through a zillion different scenarios in their heads. Not that they're driving themselves crazy about it, but this to me is like a great practice to keep ourselves on our toes, because anything and everything can happen and anything and everything cannot happen. It all depends, on the situation, circumstances of that emergency, of that natural disaster that may occur or may not occur. So we're always, educating ourselves and filling ourselves up with information so that we can relay this information on to other people and to better be able to help others as well as ourselves and our family members. So to me, preppers are invaluable individuals, citizens, however you may label them. But to me, we're invaluable assets to the population, to our neighbors, to our workers, our family members, and all the way around. It's not stating that preppers are better than anyone else. It has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with comparing or comparison. It's far from it. We're part of the whole, just that our mindsets shift or slightly different. We're more along the lines of being in a preparedness lifestyle, preparedness mode of things, because we see, we know, we go through situations and circumstances and that calls for us to have the much needed information, skills, and know how to do whatever it is that we need to do in the event that whatever occurs, that becomes an emergency or natural disaster. We'll know what to do and how to react and how to respond. We would more than likely respond than react. Reacting would, in my mind, in my view, reacting would not put us in a place of clarity and focus to do the things that we need to do, um, in whatever emergency, or disaster that we may be faced with. So responding would be a more balanced, more focused space to be in as a prepper. And I'm sure a lot of you would agree on that as well, just having that focus, because, if chaos is going around you and your family is getting anxiety about things, and they're not in the right frame of mind at the same time, but you are, and how to deal as best as you can, mentally, emotionally, physically, everywhere around, you're gonna basically need to be that solid, um, that solid as steel individual, because everyone's going to be looking up to you. But, I was thinking, in being that way, teach everyone in your family to be that solid foundation, that solid rock as well, so that you have more than one person in the family in case, one person has to go here and do something there, and or someone becomes injured or hurt, that way everyone else can pick up from then on, and but that's something that the family needs to go through. They need to put into practice, and do exercises, hold meetings, emergency preparedness type of gatherings with family members, and strengthen one another when it comes to all things preparedness. So yeah, so I live in Hawaii, and so we have different things that we go through here, like when it comes to storing foods like that, it is a bit of a challenge, because the elements that we live in, the environment is totally different from the other states. We have more to deal with moisture, humidity, heat, salt air, because we're an island and we're surrounded by salt water and salt air, so things have a tendency to rust more, like our canned goods. Anything metal will rust in my state, and it rusts a lot faster than it would anywhere else in the United States. And the humidity, and the heat, and it's just so you need to adjust, and find different ways to store food, especially if it's canned goods, or if you can things. Like for myself, I notice when I store canned goods in my cabinets, over time the cans develop rust, and I can't have that, because that totally ruins my stored food, and it becomes a waste of money that I've invested in. So I've been adjusting and storing things totally differently. Now my home doesn't have air conditioning. It's a TNG, tongue and groove, very thin walls, so the windows I keep open, and then I slightly close at certain times, and then in the morning one side of the house gets super hot, and as the sun rises and goes over the house, into the early to late afternoon. Then the other side, so the north side in the morning of the house gets really hot, and then as it gets to early afternoon, later afternoon, the south side of my house, it becomes hot. So if I'm storing things like coconut oil, for instance, that becomes all liquid. Any oil that is solid will become liquid. So like say if I have canned butter, which I don't, but if I have canned butter or canned coconut oil, or coconut oil in a plastic container, it will not be solid. It will be consistently in a liquid form. I may purchase it at a solid form, but as soon as I get it home, it just totally, the humidity, the heat, you know, and all of that just totally melts it down into liquid form. And so, and I've noticed even if I drop things down to the lowest level in my cabinets, it still doesn't work. I mean, it still becomes liquid form. So I end up finding the coolest room in the house and adjust things. I put a lot of my preps in containers. As I've seen on here, a lot of preppers, they have a lot of shelving. They have a pantry room. I don't have any of that here. There's none of that here. No one on our island has basements. There's no such thing. No one has ever built basements at all, you know. So, you know, I really wanted to, you know, get containers actually and do that, but the human I'm with thought I was crazy. But anyway, that's besides the point. But no one has basements here, and pantries, I don't even know if anyone has pantries, really. I mean, my home doesn't have pantries. My home was built in the 60s, I believe. So we're the second owners of this home. We purchased it from the original owner. And it's not a very big home. It's a small home. It's 3 bedroom, 1 bath, very small kitchen, very small living room, very small lot, you know, and my neighbors are so close. We can hear one another fart, you know, and I can hear everyone. I can literally hear people the next street over. I can hear parties, I can hear yelling, I can hear arguing, I can hear cars from the next street over and the next street over, you know. So it's pretty insane here. But yeah, if you're thinking of living here, don't even, a lot of people that do come here, they end up leaving, you know, and don't even waste your time. Don't even, you know, just don't do it. I mean, if you're really thinking about it and you really, really want to, you know, go for it. But in my opinion, in my humble opinion, this isn't a place to be when it comes to preparedness, when it comes to SHTF, when it comes to any type of collapse that may occur at any given moment. When it comes to all these things, the United States breaks apart, you know, and everyone's basically on their own, which is how I see things that are coming. You know, I see that happening. It's coming. You know, my state would more than likely be taken over, you know, be occupied from another country, not from another state. I can see it being taken over from another country because this state is in a prime position of where it's at strategically. It's in a strategic position. That is why our state was the 50th state, because the military saw that where Hawaii is located, this was a strategic position. So we do have a lot of military here, but you know, if SHT hits the fan, I totally can see the state of Hawaii becoming some other country's property. The entire, you know, state. I can see it. I literally can see it. And if and when that occurs, hopefully I'll be on the clouds looking down below and just watching everything, you know. But other than that, yeah. So I just wanted to, you know, talk a little bit about the location that I'm at. And, you know, we all got different locations, so we have different challenges, different resources. Sometimes, you know, I see things that we have here, but I see a lot of things that a lot of preppers that are showing on their YouTube channel we don't even have. We don't have Aldi's, we don't have Kroger's, we don't have Ralph's, we don't have Dollar Tree stores, Family Dollar Tree stores. We just don't have it. We're so limited. We have CVS, we have Walmart, Sam's Club, Costco's, Safeway, Home Depot, Lowe's, and some other really not so well-known grocery stores in the other states, because, you know, you guys have way better, you know, shops and stores than we do. It's very, very limited here. In fact, we don't even have In-N-Out Burger. We just recently opened an Olive Garden here. I mean, hello, you know. So, and not everybody likes Olive Garden anyway. I ate there in Vegas. When I was in Vegas, I ate there. So, you know, I'm over it, you know. In-N-Out Burger would be ideal. I really like that place, you know, but every single corner here is either Jack in a Box, Burger King, or McDonald's, Taco Bell, you know, the basics, 7-Eleven, like that, like those places. But yeah, that's what it's like here. And so usually a lot of people that do come here, and if they stay here for a while, this is like a place a lot of people say to retire. Especially the outer islands is a total complete place to retire. And even if they do retire, they end up leaving because it's so laid back. It's not funny. It becomes overwhelmingly laid back for people, so they pack up and leave and go back to the States. You know, that's totally understandable. But yeah, that's what it's like in my location. Everything, the cost of living here is high, the prices are high, and yes, it's going to get higher and higher. But yeah, it's, I mean, housing, rents, mortgages, all of those things are just crazy high in prices. It's just insane. My cousin, she just bought a house, like not too far from mine's, and her house isn't that big. It's not big at all. And she paid close to $1 million. She paid $900,000, and this is for 3 small rooms, 1 small bathroom, small living room. You know, small. You know, everyone from here is used to it. They're used to it. They're not used to, you know, seeing acres of land, because the land is really scarce here. It's been overbuilt, especially on my island. And so the prices are like, it's just insane. So a lot of people do move away from this island, and they can get something much bigger, more acreage, more for their money. In fact, they can get 2 to 3 times the amount of homes compared to here, and the prices that they pay for one home. So go figure. It's just crazy, and everything we're taxed left and right. You know, everything we're taxed for, total, complete, just, I mean, mega big time taxes here. I mean, I'm surprised I'm still here, but anyway, just wanted to come on here, talk a little bit about my location, where I'm at, and how it is here in this state, and the things that we do, we need to do in order to prepare, be better prepared, and the differences, because all of our states are totally different. I know you'll totally agree with me on this, but yeah, we're just a tiny island, basically 8 tiny islands. And this is a Hawaiian island chain of 8 tiny islands. So, we have our challenges here, very limited resources, hence the shipping of consumables and commodities. They're shipped here and were flown here, and so yeah, that's the gist of it in this state, in our state. It's, to me, it has more pitfalls, and then more more downsides than upsides. I think a lot of people are a lot better in the other states, no matter where you're at, and especially your prices are just amazing. I know you may not be used to your prices and the prices that are going up like that, but when you live in a place like where I'm at, you have a tendency of appreciating what you have, and what what you have to pay. I mean, I see your prices and I'm like, what? Compared to my prices here, because the prices here are just insane, and you totally have to budget, totally have to supplement things, grow your own food, as well as can your own food, and all of these things. You need to have different skill sets when it comes to preparedness as well, and just continue educating yourself on all things preparedness and being on top of things. When it comes to like the Second Amendment here, the state really isn't pro gun. We need permits, and there's so many different restrictions, and it just doesn't make sense at all. And when I see Texas and all these other states, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong state. Although I have my permit, and I have licensing permit, to carry, and I do have, so I nicknamed 2 of them. One I nicknamed Tinkerbell, and the other I nicknamed Jesus. So if anything, I can tell the human I'm with, go get Jesus, bring me Tinkerbell. No one knows what I'm talking about. And so yeah, and so these are the ups and the downs of what I basically go through, we basically go through in this state. So there's a there's a struggle when it comes to firearms here. But you know, the state is just backwards. Just, it I think this state is archaic, because it takes so long for things to happen here. It takes long for different businesses to come into our state as well. It takes years, 20, 30 years. It took it took a long time for Olive Garden to get here. I think about that amount, 20 to 30 years. Um, so by the time it got here, I was like totally over that. I'm just sorry, no thanks. Make my own. So but yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about my location, what I go through regarding preparedness, what I do, um, and just a little bit more in detail about this state of minds. I'm not bashing it or anything. It has its pros and cons, like anywhere else, around the globe, in our country, and wherever, and we just adjust and adapt to our environment, and to the best of our abilities, basically. Anyways, I think I've kind of went on pretty long here, and I know this video is gonna take a couple hours to load, so it's not too bad. It's kind of late in the evening here, Thursday late evening, so it's gonna take a couple hours to load, but that's okay because it's gonna load while I'm sleeping. So keep prepping, keep building on your skill sets, keep educating yourself and updating the information for yourself as preppers. We all know this. I really don't need to go into detail and explain that. This would be more or less for the people that are still asleep at the wheel. And keep building on your preps as much as we all possibly can, and be on guard, be aware, be not just aware of what's going on globally, but be aware of what's going on in your neck of the woods, in your neighborhood, in your state as well. And yeah, keep one another updated, and let's support one another more than anything. As preppers, we're all in this together. We're just in different locations strategically. I believe we're in different locations strategically for a reason, and that is to provide more support to one another when it comes to all things preparedness. Anyway, guys, you have a great evening, and thank you. Support this page and have subscribed. Much aloha and mahalo goes out to all of you. Very, very grateful for you all. Please hit that like button, the bell notification, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll make another post coming up, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, but let's do this together, guys, and let's support one another, and we're here for one another. Aloha.